This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. What's going on, everybody? Yeah. How's it going? We've got another, the thumbnail was fixed. It started off with the wrong one, but it was fixed about a minute after I set the reminder that there's a show. Yeah, keep an eye out on that Marty McFly guy. Yeah, alright, so we've got a, I don't know what you call it. It's not really a press conference, but it's like an interview that they did with Donald Armantrout. And so it's pretty interesting. Yeah. And they mentioned the freaks. That's why we got to play it. All right, so it's got Misty, Donald, his wife, and I believe the mayor, I think. All right. So we'll play that right away. There we go.
Publisher of the Centerville Press, and we want to welcome you to a Bib Community Media video stream. I have with us today some very special guests that this county has a history with. Even though you may not know these folks, I'd like to ask if you would to introduce yourself. This gentleman is Daniel Paul Armantrout's brother, and he's our unknown boy who is now known, and we have had a memorial service today that I think was very lovely, and we appreciate the family being here. And we put some things in the press this past week, and we want to finish this story out by letting the family have an opportunity to tell us anything that they might know and anything that they might want to share about this. And I've also got Misty Elliott here, and I know she is the genealogist that worked with Don here and discovered Don and found out who he was and talked to him first. So she's the lady who actually was the person who said, "We know we've got a hit." Mm-hmm. So she's the one that was the first to know who Daniel was. So if I may, I'd like for you to introduce yourself, if you would, and tell us a little about maybe your birthday and a little bit about yourself first.
Yes, I'm Don Hamilton, and I'm November 28th, 1943, so I just had my birthday last month, and I was 78. Danny was 76 today, had he been living, and the last time I saw Danny was December 1960, when I was a young recruit in the Army, and I went home for Christmas vacation, Christmas leave, and after I went back in January of '61, I found out that Danny had run away from home. And after that, I guess...
So where were y'all living at that time? What city?
We were living in Paris, Tennessee.
Paris, Tennessee.
But we were actually born and raised in Miami, Florida. And my stepfather was a construction worker, so we moved with company to company. And they moved to Paris, Tennessee. And that's where I went in the Army, and that's where
Do you know much about yours and Danny's father and his birth and his growing up years, or anything much about him?
No, because when I was 4, my mother got divorced, and in the 40s we weren't allowed to know who our real father was, and come to find out later through Misty that he passed away in Georgia in 1976. So I never knew my father.
That's interesting. So the genealogy research that you did made discoveries for you way beyond just Danny. You were able to find out a lot more things about your family. Am I right?
Well, just my father, because again, it's a bad story, because my stepfather that I thought was my stepfather was never adopted. He never adopted us. But he also had a real bad situation in his family, so he changed his name. So because of that, Misty could never get any history of my stepfather, because that wasn't his real name either. It wasn't Hamilton. It was something else.
Oh, geez.
You're something else, aren't you?
So I am the only surviving on my either side of my family. And I have a brother that's also, an older brother that's also missing, that was 80 years old the 2nd of February this past, and he's missing. And Misty's going to try to find him.
Wonderful.
So our family life was really bad back then. We have no history of our family.
I want you to know how much I appreciate you coming and spending some time letting the people of Bibb County know what you know, and sharing Danny with us, letting us keep him here. We appreciate that. Would you introduce your girlfriend here?
My wife, Tara.
Hi, Tara.
41 years we've been married.
Awesome. And Tara, where are you from?
I was born in Trinidad.
Trinidad.
West Indies, yes. Left Trinidad at the age of 17. Went to London all by myself. That's what families did then. Send their kids out for education. And my job was to bring them in.
Oh, there she is.
I couldn't handle it at the age of 17.
Hey, look at that. Steph May. Man, I just told her she seems to be doing about the same as yesterday, but better than the day before. And then she just popped into the chat. King Gray has shown his truth, kindness and goodness beaming from his heart and soul. I'm blessed and very proud to be part of the Freak family. Thank you very much. But anyways, there she is, everybody. She's still able to type. I think she's getting better. Sounds like she's about the same. Has migraines and what is it? Migraines. Heart rate kind of fluctuates a little bit. And oxygen with the little nasal thing stays around 92, 94. But it's way better than it was a couple days before that. So it might take a little bit of time to get back to normal, but I think she has to stay in the hospital until she can breathe, have a good oxygen count without the oxygen in the nose, I think. Yes, definitely better than before. Yep. So that's good. All right, well, good to see you.
So that never happened. But I did go to college there and became a British registered dietitian. I hated that job. I didn't enjoy doing it at all. So when I met Don, we traveled. I tried to.
Where did y'all meet?
In Nuremberg, Germany.
Nuremberg, Germany.
Yes, he was stationed there.
Awesome.
And I was working.
What year did y'all meet?
78.
Yeah, something.
78, 79.
You did good.
You
You did good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We're glad you're here.
All right.
I would like to know a little bit more about you, if I may, Misty, and we'll come back, Don, if that's all right. You have a fascinating career choice, and you're doing some remarkable work. But I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about how this was funded, There's a fellow named Grant Hughes
Yes.
that I haven't really learned enough about myself yet. But that Grant Hughes funding of this project really is what put the grease under the wheels to make it move forward. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Would you tell us a little bit about Grant Hughes?
So Grant Hughes has a
talking
YouTube
about
channel
me.
called Grant Hughes Investigates, and he runs a show based on true crime, essentially. Anything that's in the mass media, unsolved cold cases, anything of that nature. He's got a very big following that they're called the Freaks.
The Freaks.
And during
The
his YouTube
Freaks.
show, they contribute money to his funds, and he actually donates money to quite a few different organizations. To us personally, Identifinders International, I believe.
She was about half of the amount. I mean, she's not sitting there counting our funds, but she said 10,000, but we've put 22,000, including Jeff S. Right, so it's $22,000. But yeah, that's not a huge issue for me that she doesn't know the accounting.
He's donated over 10 grand at this point. And so when I had found interest in this case and I came across it online and I suggested it to my boss, we knew there were going to be funding issues with getting it done. So we called Gray and we told him about the Bibb County John Doe, and he immediately was enamored with it, and he offered to pay for the entire thing, and he graciously paid for all the DNA testing, all the genealogy work, and absolutely everything from start to finish for this case.
Well, there are, he probably won't agree with this, but sometimes you run across angels unaware, don't you?
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
to Gray Hughes, we owe a debt of gratitude
Yes, we do.
for the work that all those freaks do.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Well, that's awesome.
Come on, look at that. That's so awesome. For all the work that those freaks do. Oh man. Yeah, that's like most proud I've ever been. Hey, thanks, Tracy. Yeah, see? Everybody. Boom. There, I gotta do a replay of that. That was awesome. There we go.
Yes, we do.
For the work that all those freaks do.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Well, that's awesome. Well, if I may, I would like to ask if you would, or any of you,
That's so awesome.
We've attended the memorial service today, and I'd love to know what you think about our little community called Bibb County.
Well, I think, as I said, Danny got more love from this town after he passed than when he was alive, from anybody. And that's a lot.
That's so cool to have the actual name.
That is a good thing, and all good things come down from the Father of Lights.
That's right.
So it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
And it's a good thing to have y'all with us today. Guys, can y'all think of any other questions that we might want to ask the family?
I just wanted to say that
Please.
it was, it's so unbelievable that so much love and devotion, compassion, that was passed on from one generation to another. Even though the original people who were around, they're no longer here, their families carried this on, and I found that astonishing. I don't know that you would find that yourselves, but sent
Thanks, Mama She
and
13.
so that we will be eternally grateful.
Yeah, and thank you, Mama She 13, No Place Like Home, Tracy, and Steph May. And see, it's just our continuing doing this allows me to keep doing what I'm doing and to be able to fund amazing things like this. At the end of this month, it'll be, I think we'll be over 25,000, and we'll have fully funded a third case. I mean, basically, I think I might have to send another 1,000, and I think we might be at 7,000 something. It needs to have about 8.
I would like to say one thing too that a lot of people don't know. Danny had polio, and so he had a brace on his right leg. And
Hey,
that's
thank
the
you so
reason
much,
he could
Mrs.
not get out of
Ryan.
the car because he couldn't swim with that brace on. And most people, that's how CW found out at the very end that it was Danny. Nobody knew about the polio and the brace but me or a family member. And that's what helped solve the case.
amazing how things.
He kept that.
I think Misty kind of already knew, but that was a verification point.
Kept that out.
Yes, sir.
And when he asked Danny had a limp, why? And I told him, and he said, "That's
That
Danny."
makes sense, yeah.
So that was the.
Well, you couldn't imagine in your wildest dreams the pieces that came together to make this day a special day for us, and hopefully for Danny and Bibb County.
Not one person, but a whole town, whole community.
Well, if Danny's life was short, and it was, he had more of an impact on a community than the people that normally live in a community their entire lives.
Yes.
For whatever reason, this community, and I think it's because we all recognize that there is a common bond in all of us, that we're all created in the image of God.
That's right.
And so we all have that relationship. We all are equal in that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miss Ryan and Jennifer.
And this community, I think, recognized that something was missing here, something was lost.
Mrs. Ryan.
It touched them. And they responded as if it was one of their own. And to see it come to this place, where today we had a lovely memorial service. We know where Danny is. We know who Danny is. And now Bibb County has a story that they can tell way on into the future. And that's why I was hoping that you gracious folks would stop by.
And they have no more unsolved cases.
Interesting. Not in Bibb County that I know of.
That's right. Yeah. So
not that I know of, no sir.
This was a closure for a lot of people, especially for Jim Oakley.
Yeah, Indian Sweet Guy.
Yes.
You know, he and his family. His family are the ones that bought the Central Press newspaper back in the 1880s.
Right.
So that tells you how long the family's
A lot of
been there.
history in this small town.
Yes, sir.
With Danny.
Well, one thing we don't do is get very progressive. We just kind of roll along with the ages.
So when we come back next year, the town will be the same.
Well, when the 1st Wisconsin Regimental Cavalry came here on April the 2nd in 1865, if they came back, it looked just like it did when they were here before.
Okay.
Well, I deeply appreciate you folks coming. And I know you've got some traveling to do, and you've got some places
Angela
to go.
Vincent.
I don't want to keep you long.
Yep.
But I do want you to feel free to say anything you'd like to our community. Our community wants to say to you, we're very grateful for Danny. He made a difference in this community. And his life was not without value.
No.
It meant everything to this community to get this, see this accomplished. This community's been deeply touched. And our great thanks to Grant Hughes and to Dr. Fitzpatrick and all of the folks that have stepped out, done their work with a diligence that's beyond the pay that I'm sure they get. So we could have this day. So thank you, folks. We appreciate you coming so very much. God bless you.
I think I'm more happy that it wasn't Greg, like somebody actually said my name correctly out there.
Safe travels. God bless you. And the door to Centerville and Bibb County are always open to you folks.
I have a key.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to everyone
Oh,
in
this
Bibb
is so
County
awesome.
for taking care of Danny for all these years, and to Misty for bringing Danny to us.
Closure to a lot of
Yes.
people.
Yes, sir.
Even back home,
Thank you,
so
Alice
many of our
Patak,
friends
Karen
was
Chapman.
followed the case once 28th of October came about, and our church had a special mass, and in our Catholic Church, November is the month of remembrance. So they lit
Well, I'm more happy for the freaks. I gotta go back and play the freak moment in a minute.
a candle the whole month of November for Danny.
That is pretty impressive.
So that's pretty impressive.
So we're all touched.
Yes.
All of us who know what human life is like and the struggles that can occur recognize that we're in it together.
And everybody has a struggle in their life.
Absolutely, sir. There's not a one of us that doesn't. But we do it better when we do it together.
That's right.
Misty, do you have anything working on the other brother?
Currently, I believe Allison Peacock, who also worked on the case with me, has a request in to do a search on his social security number to see if it's been used nationwide, do a nationwide database, and we haven't heard of the results yet.
Okay.
Would you let us know if you hear anything? We'd love to.
Absolutely.
We'd love to know.
Absolutely.
We'll add a little more to the story.
There you go.
Second brother found, huh?
That would be an amazing
It
thing.
would be.
What was the name
I
of
hope
your
that may happen.
What was the name of your church that lit the candle? We'd like to call that out probably.
St. Patrick Catholic Church in Largo, Florida.
Cool, excellent, thank you.
And we appreciate those people's concern also, and their prayers.
Yes.
And we
Well,
will try to keep
I'm
them in
the
mind.
head sacristan at the church. So I set up the altar and make sure everything is ready for the priest. On Thursday and Sunday mornings I go.
Cool.
So we're quite involved in the church.
Well, it shows. It shows. Thank you, and I appreciate you folks stopping by and spending some of your
And
valuable
thank you for
time.
the interview. Thank you so much. To get the story out, it will help somebody else who's lost their loved one.
I think it's a good thing that we encourage people to look into Grant Hughes and Identifinders and the work that they do. It may be something that people around here might want to get more involved in.
Well, years ago you didn't have the opportunity.
Didn't know what it
You
was,
couldn't
yeah.
find. So if one person could be found after today, that's another blessing.
Yeah.
And it's a big blessing, isn't
Yes, it is. For a family, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
interview.
Thank you.
I only listened to the first 6 minutes or so the first time. I didn't know that they kept talking about us over there. Pretty crazy. So let me find that part again. It's got to be in there. Where was it then when they were laughing? That was funny.
Dawn, we traveled.
Has a YouTube channel called Grant Hughes Investigate.
Oh, here we go. So this is about us right here. See, when they're saying my name, it's the Freak family, and not only that, they mention the Freaks. So if you missed it a minute ago, here we go.
Really is what put the grease under the wheels.
Let's see.
I'd like you to tell us a little bit about how this was funded. There's a fellow named Grant Hughes
Yes.
that I haven't really learned enough about myself yet. But that Grant Hughes funding of this project
thank you, Andrea.
really is what put the grease under the wheels to make it move forward. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Would you tell us a little bit about Grant Hughes?
So Grant Hughes has a YouTube channel called Grant Hughes Investigates, and he runs a show based on true crime, essentially. Anything that's in the mass media, unsolved cold cases, anything of that nature. He's got a very big following that they're called the Freaks. That's what they call themselves. And during his YouTube show, they contribute money
The
to his
Freaks.
fund, and he actually donates money to quite a few different organizations. To us personally, Identifinders International, I believe he's donated over 10 grand at this point.
Yep, it's over 10,000.
And so when I had found interest in this case and I came across it online and I suggested it to my boss, we knew there were going to be funding issues with getting it done. So we called Gray and we told him about the Bibb County John Doe, and he immediately was enamored with it, and he offered to pay for the entire thing, and he graciously paid for all the DNA testing, all the genealogy work, and absolutely everything from start to finish for this case.
Well, there are, he probably won't agree with this,
I
but
don't.
sometimes you run across angels unaware, don't you?
Absolutely,
Yes, it is.
absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
to Gray Hughes, we owe a debt of gratitude
Yes.
Yes, we do.
for the work that all those freaks do.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, see, that was so awesome. The work that all those freaks do. Boom, there we go. All right. Man, that was such a cool thing right there, So, anyways, wow, that was really cool just listening to some of the other parts of the story there, too. Where they met. I think what would be really interesting would be a book or something with Donald, they go like a really detailed book about his life, and then how it all, and then sort of intertwine Daniel into it, but to learn all about like what he did for his life. You know, like what it was like at home. You know, what do they remember? What does he remember about the struggles living with a stepdad that was like that? And I think it'd just be so interesting, don't you think? But anyways, I'm just really proud of the channel and everybody else. I noticed we've lost 6 subscribers. I know that they were probably here for a trolling aspect of it, but unfortunately, now they're like, oh crap, they actually do stuff on that channel. Ah, okay, I gotta go. Hey, thanks, Romeo's Heart. I always find that interesting. Let's see. All you freaks do. That's just so great. Come on, more.
Fair, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
to Grant Hughes, we owe a
Here,
debt
no,
of
here, I hear this
gratitude
part right here.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
for the work that all those freaks do.
Yep.
Oh, I gotta have that like as a sound effect or something. For the work that all those freaks do. Yep. All right. Well, that is it for the Bibb County case for now. Maybe there'll be some new news in the future at some point. But that was pretty cool. That is kind of a cool thing. Welcome to the Freak family. You can help join all the work that we freaks do. What photo? Yeah, the photo of the I've never showed that picture before, Cold Truth, because there's not out there. There's no picture of Danny with the girlfriend. That's why you've never seen it. Because it was mentioned as being found, but it's been lost over the years. That's right. The Freaks. Anyway, I hope Steph May starts getting better. Hope she gets the bust out of there in the next couple days. And Jen H, hope you're on your way to getting some stuff figured out. And anybody else out there that's not feeling that great, hope you feel better. Yeah, maybe they could even, like a movie would be pretty interesting too. I mean, this story is really interesting, but it's amazing how little interest it got in the true crime community at large. I mean, really, this and all missing people that are identified, it's under the realm of true crime, even if it's not a crime. That's just the genre that it's under. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, no, such a great thing. But we're moving on to new things too. I would love to do more just unidentified people cases too. I mean, you've got there's just so many bodies that have been found that have not been identified, and basically they're in areas where there isn't a lot of money or funding, or even if there is funding, they might be using it for something else. I guess it wouldn't really, they just didn't allocate it towards that because they didn't deem it as important. But yeah, the year is almost over. Feels like I just filed taxes before. It's weird. That was the quickest year of my life right there. Just ding. Yeah, who's ever out there that just wants to unsubscribe, keep doing it. I'd like to get it back down to a manageable level. Because now we're at 70,314. Let's see if we can get it to 313. Maybe 12, 11, 10, 9. I really don't give a shit. If this is the kind of stuff that makes you go, oh, I can't stand this place, then get the hell out, man. Because I'm going to keep trying to do this stuff. Alright, it's awesome. Yeah, it went by way too fast. Alright. So let me get to... Oh yeah. So the, Ghislaine Maxwell, she was found guilty on all charges of, the sex trafficking stuff. You guys know, but I'm not really going to go over it because All right, what I would do in this case is
With the relaunch of Milestone Media, DC and Milestone collaborate.
I would actually give her a really harsh sentence and then cut a deal privately without anybody knowing at all to name names all through and just start taking people down. I mean, because there's a lot of high-powered people that were using their, quote, services, right? Oh, I don't know how many years she's going to get, but I would just give her whatever the max is and then start cutting a deal and make it a really generous deal, because you want it to be where she's willing. Oh my God, just 5 years? Okay, hold on. If she had life in prison and you cut it down to some ludicrous number to get all of the other perpetrators out there, I think that's how you got to do it. And it can't be known either, because look what happened to Epstein. Who knows? That one's still up in the air. Did he kill himself, or did somebody else get in there to keep him quiet? Because he could take so many people down, including probably Bill Clinton, who was on that jet like 20-something times. Yeah, probably wouldn't want that out there. And I don't think there's a political party aspect of it. I think there's both political parties probably have individuals who used what he was offering, I would think. Yeah, I don't know, Deanna. That's about the only thing they had her on. So they would cut a deal and she'd be out. But I would make part of the deal that you can't profit in any way in the future off of the case. You can't be part of writing a book. You can't be part of anything. That's what it would be part of it. It would just be purely that she could be out, but get all the other names. Yeah. Alright, so that happened today. Then remember Miya Marcano? I mean, we already knew most of this stuff, but...
Miya Marcano. Police say that their person of interest in this case, 27-year-old Armando Caballero, was found dead of an apparent suicide. According to investigators, Caballero was a maintenance worker at a building where Marcano lived, and they say that he made unwanted advances towards her, used his master key to get into her apartment before she returned home from work. She has not been seen since.
Yeah, so I don't know why they're playing that, but it says the 19-year-old woman who was found dead in the woods near Orlando apartment complex died of homicide.
Hey, you're going to want a car with good windshield wipers. It's raining out.
Undetermined violence. I mean, I think everybody knew that she died of homicide. I'm not really sure how this is new news. But she went missing on September 24th when she was last seen at Arden Villa's luxury apartments where she lived and worked, according to the Orange County Sheriff's Office in Florida. Her body was found in a wooded area on October 2nd near the timber scan on the Lake Apartments, approximately 18 miles west of her home. So Marcano's body was near complete skeletonization, which is weird because it wasn't really that long, in the face, neck, and torso and upper arms, the autopsy report said, and there was no identifiable evidence of trauma. Yeah, she was probably just strangled to death. Black duct tape, described as evidence of restraint, was found around her neck, well there you go, on both wrists, bound behind her back, and both ankles, the report said. So that must be, I think she was killed inside her apartment, then pushed out the window. The decedent was found in an abandoned section of an apartment complex, suggesting intentional disposal of her body. Armando Manuel Caballero was identified as a person of interest in the case and was found dead of an apparent suicide on September 27th. Caballero had shown a romantic interest in Marcano, but was repeatedly rebuffed. Cell phone records indicate Caballero was in or near the apartment for about 20 minutes between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. the evening Marcano was reported missing. Authorities were not looking for any other people in connection with Marcano's death because investigators believe Caballero was responsible for the crime. There you go. So I guess that's kind of like their final report right there. Welcome, Jamesy. Yep, we got it down to 3:13. Keep on going, trolls. Let's get out. Let's get out, trolls. Let's see, they're probably watching a live stream about how awful Gray is somewhere. You know how that goes. Absolute idiots. Let's see. Yeah, wow. Yeah, though it's crazy. I think it's down like 8 people just since the show started. Isn't that wild? The great news, the shout out to the freaks was so irritating and so disturbing to these wackos that they left. Yeah.
See how mean Gray is to his subs?
Well, they aren't subs, idiot. They left.
Oh, good point. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrea Rogero Drum. Yeah. Oh, I will bring up, there is another YouTuber out there, the one that we've talked about, the one on the run, the one that we tracked down in Florida, in St. Petersburg, Florida. Well, the details came out, and it's exactly what other people said, but he denied over and over again. He failed to pay child support. It was a Class 6 felony, so it was a felony. He's not on the run for a misdemeanor, like he tells everybody. And then he went into for a drug test in early December, and it turns out that he didn't pass that. It had methamphetamines and marijuana. Okay? And then he left the courthouse because he didn't want to be arrested, and he was driving with the suspended license. And so they're just, the warrant was issued for his arrest. Okay? So it's not his gun. They was just pot, everybody, and it was a misdemeanor. So everybody's like, oh, okay. That's great. So he's in the true crime realm at this point. All right? It's not like it's... I think anybody in true crime should be able to talk about this thing. Because that's what it is. It's a guy out on the run, hiding from police, intentionally left town. Hell, I'll even show you this document. Yeah, so there was 3 different petitions in a row to get him back in. Like to revoke his parole. All right, but there's so many people out, so many suckers that actually still believe this shit. So here's the first one here. The state of Indiana appears by Shane M. Evans, Chief Deputy Prosecuting Attorney. The defendant appears in person with counsel Curtis Fouts. The defendant is sworn in and advised of his constitutional statutory rights to the first revocation of probation filed on November 5th. So that's just like, 2 months ago, 2021. And a denial is entered on behalf of the defendant, meaning he denies the charges. The defendant is released on his promise to appear at an evidentiary hearing, and I think they have the year wrong on this. It is scheduled for January 13, 2022. That's supposed to be there. All parties are ordered to appear in person this first day of December 2021. Okay, so that's supposed to be 2022 right there. It's pretty easy to make mistakes like that when you're just switching over to the next year soon. All right, so then here's the second petition right here. The above name, blah, 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 I'm not going to say his name, referred in the petition as the probationer was placed on probation by court in the above entitled cause June 3rd, 2021, so just 6 months ago, after having been found guilty of non-support of dependent level 6 felony. So that's a felony. That by the terms of the probation established herein, it was required that the probationer shall not commit a new criminal offense. That said probationer has violated the terms of the probation established on or about December 3rd, so literally, 3.5 weeks ago, almost 4 weeks ago, December 3rd, 2021, the probationer submitted to a drug screen. The result came back positive for methamphetamine at a ratio of 116.1 nanogram per milliliter and THC at a ratio of 2.5 nanograms per milliliter, thus committing a new criminal offense of possession of methamphetamine and possession of marijuana. Petitioner requests that the court order a warrant and summons issued so as to cause the probationer to be brought or to appear before the court for a hearing upon the petition, to be served upon probationer residing at the given address there. Okay, so that was just where he was living at the time. Now he's out on the run. So here's the third petition right here. The undersigned probation officer represents and states to the court that the above named person hereinafter referred to in this petition as their probationer, and then they talk about the level 6 felony, and it says that by the terms of probation established herein, it was required that the probationer shall report as directed. The probationer shall not commit a new criminal offense. That the probationer failed to remain in the building on December 17th, that's just 2 weeks ago, 2021, to meet with his officer, thus failing to report as directed. The probationer drove away from the courthouse on December 17th, thus committing a new criminal offense of driving while suspended license. All right, so, you guys are always out there, oh, he's so great, he paid everything, he's so caught up in everything, he's awesome. All right, so there you go. All right, I'm just letting you guys know that that's the reality. And for all you suckers out there that keep saying, he's changed, he's so much different now. No, he's not, everybody. He's not at all. He's been the same the whole time. He just sold the bullshit a different way. Okay? And so that's it. He's out on the run. Hopefully somebody finds him at some point, and he turns himself in, does the right thing for once, turns himself in, and gets the ball rolling on the time that he's going to have to serve. And then he can come back out, and then he can sucker all of you guys all over again. And I'm talking about, when I say all of you guys, the ones that were suckered every single time. All right? It's just unbelievable. Oh, and then, you know what's even sadder is, like, he's still posting videos, and you have all these women on there that are just, oh, Anthony, we miss you. Oh, are you guys that stupid? Have you seen, at some point, the information is going to come out on what he's done, okay, to various women out there, and it's not good. All right? Unbelievable. All right, so I'm gonna move on now to something else, but you guys, it's sickening and disgusting that you, and when I say you, I'm not talking about the freaks in here, because they all know what what's going on here. The people out there that keep giving a psychopath another chance. They aren't changing. They're going to be the same forever. They'll just find a different way to sell it. Okay? It's unbelievable. All right. So anyways, I am going to move on now to something else, but it was something I felt like I had to put out there since it was new information that was retrieved. Sound good? Yeah. Yeah. I know you guys don't want me to talk about it too much, but I sort of have to, you know. Yeah. Well, good. Yeah, I'm trying to make it so other people don't get screwed over in the future. Okay? Unfortunately, there are just so many stupid people on the planet that there will be other people that get screwed over by the same grifts over and over and over again. All right. Awesome. And, you know, he's a guy that's taken my work so many times, so I've known how things work. Like, I'll actually do something, and then he'll send me a message on Facebook. Hey, Gray, yeah, I had some ideas. And I go, yeah, do you mind if I use that or something? And I'll say, yeah, I mean, you can, you know, as long as you give credit. Then he does a video, and he'll say, yeah, we worked on this. Yeah, we worked on this thing. And look at this and this. And everybody goes, great job, Greeno. And he had nothing to do with any of the conceptual information behind it at all. He just takes, it's really sick. And it makes people, he doesn't realize how angry it makes people behind the scenes when he does stuff like that. Yeah, I saw that. The New York Post. It was pretty cool, Lily. Yeah, the New York Times guy, he had all the information. He just decided not to put it in there. So I even messaged him. I said, don't you think that would have been a cool part of the story? If you'd mentioned the freaks and how we all came together to fund it? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. That come on. That's actually an interesting portion of the story. You know, that makes it even more just, wow, so many random people came forward. Yeah. I never like, yeah. Yeah, the thing is I don't, you know, whatever you guys want to do, I'm just putting out the information that's out there. He's not telling the truth. If it was so simple and it was a misdemeanor, he would have been back a long time ago. It's not. Yeah, I can't do that. I'm just going to cover it. If you notice, I just covered that exactly how I cover all the other cases. It's exactly the same. Yeah, why would you get crap for it? It's the truth, you know? I actually saw, as the petitions were coming in, they didn't have the detail on them. I don't know. But there are a few versions of it out there. 80s Baby just doesn't really... It doesn't make sense that wouldn't be part of a story that people told, but you can tell here how appreciative they were. It was pretty sweet. And you can definitely tell that Donald is the brother. I mean, he looks... That's exactly what I would picture Daniel looking like when he was older. All right, let's get on to this other case here. So this one here had almost nothing, but it seems like it should have had a lot of information on it. You know, it's 19, but I'm just bringing it up because nobody's going to be talking about it. But I wonder if there's some opportunities on this one if they collected the evidence. So this is 1984 in Chicago, and probably wasn't covered because over there's just murders every day, so it's just like, which one? Screw it. Welcome, Alice Patak. All right, here we go. Woman, 18, found slain in North Side apartment. An 18-year-old Rogers Park woman found stabbed. I mean, this is really bizarre. This is like almost serial killer-like, or some kind of a boyfriend, or, you know, it's hard to know exactly, but and actually this apartment, the 6758, is right here, so it's right near the water, like maybe Lake Michigan. Or, yeah, I don't know, is it Lake Michigan? What is the name of this one? Yeah, I think so. You know what lake this is? Is this Lake Michigan here? Yeah, that's Huron right there. So, yeah, Lake Michigan. That's it. Okay. So it's in these apartments right here. Isn't that weird? Just looking at that, just thinking somebody walked up in there. So we've got, the victim was identified as Penny Krajeski of 6758 North Sheridan Road, according to Belmont area Commander L. Wadnicki, who said the body was found naked on the living room floor with multiple stab wounds. Wadnicki said there were no signs of forced entry and no weapon was found, but he said there were signs of a struggle and the apartment was in disarray. So it's like she let somebody in or something, you know, maybe she was really naive and just opened the door. And it looks like she was probably sexually assaulted, I would imagine. And then stabbed to death, killed. The girl appeared to have been dead for some time because full rigor mortis had set in. Wadnicki said, rigor mortis does not occur until several hours after death. Police said Krajeski's body was discovered at 3 p.m. by Ajdar Peresovic, 37, janitor of the 5-story apartment building. There you go. So that's sort of interesting too. This reminds me a lot of the story that we just talked about. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but how did the janitor find her? I mean, was it he just went into her room? I mean, isn't that interesting how the Miya Marcano case, you had the guy that worked there, had the key, got in, and then we've got this case randomly on the same night that might have a similar element. It might not at all, though. It might not have anything to do with that. And maybe, I mean, it's interesting that the janitor went in there. Maybe there was an odor coming from there. Police said, you know, the body was discovered at 3 p.m. by Ajdar Peresovic, 37, janitor of the 5-story apartment building. So that's the only article that ever appeared on newspapers.com in that entire Chicago area. Can you believe that? That's it. I mean, you'd think that would be something that would have been interesting for them to cover, but they didn't do it. So I do have, you know, there was one article that I found here, so it's a little bit more information. Let's see what we got here.
In tonight's special report, we're telling you about a new police tactic used to solve crimes, including one decades-old cold case.
Chicago detectives are using Facebook to generate new leads and attract new attention.
Yeah, this is Fox 32 and 2019.
And one detective tells us the strategy is working. Dawn Hasbrook reports.
I would love to give her a hug if she was here. One last hug.
Penny Krajeski was just a teenager when she was stabbed to death in her Rogers Park apartment. It happened 35 years ago, but her sisters Nancy and Paula are still reeling from the pain.
Nobody knows what it's like until you have to go through it. It's like somebody just ripped your heart out.
Nearly 13,000 days later, the investigation is at a standstill with the same persons of interest as day one, but just not enough evidence to make an arrest.
It's one of those cases that we think we know what happened, but we can't prove what happened at this point.
So Detective John Campbell
Probably a
decided to
guy.
use a new strategy,
Somebody that the
posting
boy-
Penny's
somebody she
case
met, maybe?
on the Area North Facebook page.
Kind of an investigative technique, just to try to generate new information.
And the response surprised him.
It also let us know that there are people out there who think the killers of Penny were charged and maybe in prison, and that was something we didn't expect.
Campbell also received a private message about the case.
We did have a person come forward who provided information that definitely helped this case and pointed it in the direction that we thought it was.
That tip didn't close the case, but Campbell says that is exactly the type of information he is after,
Now, wouldn't you love to
using
know
social
that?
media to generate new
Information.
interest and leads.
Definitely has helped our cases, taking cold cases from being static to maybe some movement.
He walked us through their posting process using Michael D. Flippus's case as an example.
We contacted the family. The family provided us with a few photos of Michael, and then we put photos of the area where he was killed.
The more attention a case gets, the better.
Maybe it's something stands out or something clicks in your memory that, hey, I know somebody over there, maybe you want to talk to this person.
And more likes and shares means increased monitoring, police deleting comments with wrong information.
Occasionally, people put things out there that aren't true about the cases. We go from following up on investigative leads to putting out social media fires.
Still, Campbell says overall, social media has helped more than it has hurt, spreading the word and giving tipsters an anonymous way to reach detectives.
This didn't happen, on Mars. It happened down the street from all of us. What can we do to try to generate attention to it and get people to actively involved and help solving these cases?
To give families like Penny's some sense of closure.
Never get over it. 35 years later, here I'm still crying.
Yeah. Chicago detectives are using Facebook to generate new leads. Penny Krajeski was just a teenager when she was stabbed to death in her Rogers Park apartment. Nobody knows what it's like until you go through it. I think this is the same information that was in the video. And then we've got Penny was so young and full of dreams when she was murdered in Rogers Park apartment. They might have physically taken our little angel from us, but spiritually she's here, and they can never take away. And that they can never take away. Penny Krajeski had been a ward of the state, so that's kind of interesting. Like, she was a ward of the state and had just begun her independent living program as part of her becoming an independent adult. Penny was living in an apartment in the 6700 block of North Sheridan. If anyone has information regarding the homicide, please contact the CPD Cold Case Squad. I wish they would give us a little bit more information. It's interesting that she just got there. Did she meet somebody? Was it somebody from the state that knew that she was going there? Like somebody that was at the war, at the place where she was kept. I don't know. That's probably the least likely. It's probably just somebody that she had just met, and then she probably didn't want him to, didn't want to be sexually active or something, and so he just attacked her. I mean, she'd be my age right now, this girl. Be crazy. Yeah, so there's definitely somebody. I wonder if it's one of those cases where remember that, the one that we've talked about many times where the girl was supposed to go on a trip with a married man, and then she had to get in the back of the pickup truck, and because he was driving a friend home, he claims. And then she just disappears, and they even found her cat hair in the back of that pickup. It's sort of like that one. I mean, that one, they know exactly who it is. Yeah, we've already talked about that, Sir Rants a lot. I don't know why that one's becoming so big all of a sudden, but I mean, I already know that I've already decided I'm going to go over that at some point, but it's got too many, it's just so much stuff going on that you can't just start. I might just do a show to get it started, and then we can start looking into other parts of it. But I don't need the request. I've already talked about it multiple times about talking about it. There's video. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know what her name was. I forgot. Yeah, you owed her like $50,000 or something. I mean, tons of money. And then she started asking for it back, and he didn't want to have to pay it. There you go. Patricia Adkins. That's it. Like this might be like that, where they might even have a ton of circumstantial evidence. They just can't prove it. Well, rants a lot. You haven't been on a lot, so start coming on a lot. Yeah. So, all right, that's all there is on that case, sadly. Maybe there's some stuff on Web Sleuths that starts talking about the guy or something, but there's no way to even look it up, really, because there's no information, there's no articles or anything, unless you had access to the website and you can see. I might try to look at something like that. All right, we're down to 70,312. Keep on going. All right, so now we're going to do the 1996 Patty Vaughn case, and then I'll call it a night. But right now we are at 80% of a normal night. Be cool to get to the normal level, so that when I'm done with this one, I don't have to, eat an apple or. I feel like I'm so low on the. There it is. What's going on? What is that? Oh, that's the thing below. It's bleeding in there. Right there. There we go. Thank you, Kathy Friday Maker and Andre Ruggiero Drum with the lemon face. Alright, so this story, I only found one article, too. Except this one had a lot more coverage over the years, and I think it was mainly in more of a local paper that I bought a $3 7-day pass so I could look at these. Alright. So this one I think is going to feel very similar to Cheryl Coker and a lot of the domestic violence type stories, but in her case she's missing, so it's going to be like the Cheryl Coker case, although she was found later. Thank you, Sir Rants-A-Lot and Perry Mom. But yes, one of these days we'll be going over that one. Heck, it might even be tomorrow, just the start of it. But, apparently there's one specific author that's been writing on it that's better than the others, and I don't really have access to those articles, and so then it's like... And then also, I was talking to Larry Griffin today. He was the writer for the... on Rhonda's case that we were talking about the other day. And yeah, he sounds just like how he types. He's very articulate, very direct. He knows everything about it. Unbelievable. So he said he could come on, maybe do like a multi-parter, something like that. I mean, he's just... I mean, the thing is he should be the detective. You know, the guy that... Like, he goes in and meets with them to tell them what the deal is. And then they can go investigate stuff. Because he's already done it all. Yeah, so he'll definitely be coming on. Maybe, I don't know, next couple days I'll give him a call, set something up. Alright, so here we go. This is an article from 1996. She went missing, I think, right around on Christmas Eve, or yeah, maybe on Christmas itself. Yeah. Okay, a tiny smile comes to Vicky Purdy's face when she watches her best friend Patty Vaughn sing their Christian folk band's theme song in a strong, sweet voice on a home videotape. Purdy's smile is bright, but it holds much pain. On Christmas night, Vaughn reportedly left her San Antonio home where she had been arguing with her husband and vanished. Officials said Purdy had last seen her friend 24 hours earlier, so on Christmas Eve, before when she went and spent the night at her house after a long rehearsal with the band Prism. That's the name of the band, it's called Prism, in Lavernia, east of San Antonio. Extensive searches by Bexar County authorities on foot, horseback, and helicopters turned up Vaughn's blue Dodge Caravan with one of its tires flat, but but nothing more. So yeah, so I think whoever, the person who did it was probably trying to make it look like her car got a flat, and that a person helping her was the one that abducted her. I'm so petrified right now, said Purdy, whose husband, Steve, is the senior pastor at St. John's United Methodist Church. Bexar County officials said Vaughn, 32, had been arguing with her husband, J.R., and his full name is Jerry Ray Vaughan. The two were getting a divorce. So here we go. This is where it's like, okay. This is where, Occam's razor comes in, and it puts him right at the top of the list, right off the bat. They were getting a divorce and had been separated. Their 3 children, 9-year-old Brittany, 8-year-old Ray, and 6-year-old Tyler, were spending the night at an aunt's house. At around 8 p.m., Vaughn left her house and drove off, police said, adding that they don't know where she was going. But how do they know for sure she left at 8 p.m.? Is that because the husband told you that? She didn't call or visit anyone, police said. She had not been heard from since, said Sergeant Tony Cobrin of the Bexar County Sheriff's Department. We have checked with financial institutions, and there have been no checks cashed, no ATM cards used, her cell phone was not used, no credit card used, nothing that would give us the indication that she was someplace using these things or that somebody else was. As it stands right now, we have nothing. Thursday afternoon, one of Vaughn's co-workers found her van by the side of the road on Loop 1604 in southern Bexar County, 5 miles from where she worked as a receptionist at an electric corporation, and about 15 miles from the home, police said. The doors were locked, so the doors of her vehicle were locked. The right front tire was deflated, but held air when pumped back up. So the air was let out intentionally. He didn't think, oh shit, I better, I need to puncture it. I wasn't in the New York Times, it was in the New York Post, Perry Mom. But you're probably on rewind mode at this point. New York Times mentioned the story, just didn't mention the freaks. Any of us.
let's see. Police have searched roads, woods, and bodies of water within 15 miles of the spot where her van was found. It's bizarre, Coburn said. Purdy, meanwhile, clings to the hope that her friend is alive and safe. She told of a recent church service during which the band played in Lone Oak. After the show, a woman approached Vaughan. She said how much she saw the Lord in Patty's eyes, and that really meant a lot to her. And it was true. Everyone saw the Lord in her. She just has that gentle, wonderful spirit about her. All right, so that's the only newspapers.com article that I found. Now the rest of these are all articles. I mean, this is one article from 2001. It's not even really an article. It's just Texas Missing Persons Clearinghouse Online Bulletin. 5'7", green eyes, white. Miss Vaughn was last seen wearing a watch, a bracelet, a wedding band, and possibly a thumb ring. Well, I mean, she had clothing on too, right? The vehicle she was believed to have been driving was found abandoned. So that's all they had in that little tiny article there. Then we've got, then there are larger articles later. So this is the Wilson County News that I had to buy a subscription to. This is back in 2005, March 16th. After being reported missing more than 8 years ago, a Wilson County woman was declared dead last week by a court order. Authorities still don't know what happened to Patty Vaughn when she disappeared during the Christmas holidays in 1996. Patty Vaughn, who was 32 when she was last seen, has not been seen or heard from since. Her husband, Jerry Ray Vaughan, filed an application for a delayed death certificate in Wilson County Court on December 15th. Under state law, a death certificate can be issued after someone has been missing for more than 7 years. In an affidavit dated December 11th, Jerry Ray Vaughan said his wife, Patty Vaughn, was reported missing on December 26, 1996, and that neither he nor the couple's 3 children have seen her since. He also indicated there has been no activity on Patty Vaughn's Social Security account. Nancy Nestor Bozeman also filed an affidavit on December 14th saying she is a close friend of both Patty Vaughn and Jerry Vaughan, and that she has not seen or heard from Patty since her disappearance. County Judge Marvin Quinney signed an order to issue the delayed death certificate on March 7th, according to court records. So he's out. I don't know if he's getting what benefit he's getting from that. Is there an insurance policy or something? Patty Vaughn, who was a resident of northern Wilson County near Atkins, disappeared sometime after Christmas Day in 1996. She was reported missing after she did not show up for work. Her van was later discovered in Bexar County on Loop 1604 near her place of employment. Her disappearance has been investigated by the Bexar County Sheriff's Department and other agencies. Right. So that was back in 2005. And then here's one from 2006. Law enforcement authorities at this time do not believe there is any substance to a tip regarding the 1996 disappearance of Wilson County resident Patty Vaughn. A Pleasanton landowner recently reported to officials that during the December 1996, when Vaughn was first reported missing, her husband, J.R. Vaughn, who worked for a construction company, had dug a deep hole in the ground on a construction site in Pleasanton. This sort of sounds a little bit like, Barry Morphew stuff that people said over and over again. The attorney for the family of Patty Vaughn obtained this information and asked volunteer team from College Station to assist with its cadaver-sniffing dogs. After the volunteer team completed several probes of the property, it allowed the dogs to search. Later it was determined the dogs had sensed nothing present. J.R. Vaughn has never been charged in connection with the disappearance. 8 years after Patty Vaughn has been reported missing, she was declared dead by a court order. Yeah. And 8 years after, let's see, court order, J.R. Vaughan filed the application for delayed death certificate. In the affidavit, J.R. Vaughan filed December 11, 2004, pursuant to the delayed death certificate, he stated that neither he nor... Yeah, so we already know that part. All right, so that part at the end was just updated from the previous article. And then 2007. Thank you, Perry Mom. All right, thank you. Yeah, awesome. Patty Vaughn's family seeks answers 10 years later. Family and friends of Patty Vaughn are still hoping to recover her body despite the fact she disappeared more than 10 years ago. A 2-day dig at a construction dump site, so that it seems like they're really still interested in places the husband had been. By Patty's husband, Jerry Ray Jr. Vaughn, or J.R. Vaughn, that's how he goes by J.R., not Jerry Ray. Around the time of her disappearance was conducted April 28th and 29th. The dig was made possible by donations of time, equipment, and money. Some of the volunteers were family and friends of Patty's. Others merely knew of her. Monica Kyson and Mark Benson from Missing Persons Group in North Carolina called the Community United Effort Center, provided the ground penetrating radar. So they didn't find anything, obviously. Patty was last seen on Christmas Day, 1996. Her estranged husband, J.R., told authorities at the time that Patty left the home following a heated argument. See, it's interesting that he even mentioned that. That means it was a horrendous argument, and she didn't leave the house on her own 2 feet. That's what I think. The following day, her van was found deserted 20 miles away from her home, although the carpet was still wet from being shampooed. Oh, jeez. The police recovered blood evidence in the van. More blood was found in Patty's home. DNA tests confirmed both to be Patty's blood. Well, I mean, you know, he said he was there with her. Isn't that enough circumstantial evidence? Everyone who knew Patty felt 100% certain that she would never have been abandoned. She would never would have abandoned her 3 children. This belief, combined with the blood evidence, was proof to her family and friends that she had met with foul play. In the 10 years since the disappearance, the Wilson County and Bexar County Sheriff's Office have searched various locations based on tips received. This most recent search puts one more check mark to the list. Wow, so blood in her van and the car. And the house, I mean, if you have blood in the house, and he said he was there and then she left after a heated argument, well then, based on what he's saying, the blood that was in the house can't be associated with her, right? I mean, associated with the event of her disappearing, because when he was there, she wasn't bleeding, right? So it just shows you that the 8 o'clock, all these times and everything are stuff that he said. He's the one supplying the information. And then, yes, then he... Well, what's interesting, though... Yeah, so what was probably done was the car was used, the van, to dump her body somewhere. Then he took the van, shampooed it, cleaned it up, because he knew what ruse he was going to use was that she was abducted from her vehicle with a... to make it look like she had a flat tire, and that whoever helped her with the flat tire is responsible, right? So he used the van to dump her body, bury it somewhere. I mean, so now this is a little bit like Photos Doulos here, you know. And then he washed and they even washed the vehicles in that case too. So yeah, that makes sense. She was killed at the house. That's why there's blood in the house. Then she was put into her own van, driven and dumped while she continued to deposit blood in the vehicle. Then he took the vehicle to a car wash and shampooed and cleaned it up, then drove it and put it out on a freeway to make it look like she got a flat tire and that somebody else abducted her. I think that's the exact plan that he came up with, don't you think? Right. This is Vaughn's family still seeks answers. This is 2008. Patty, then 32, was reported missing December 1996 after failing to drop off her 3 children at a relative's home in San Antonio. According to the report from the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, it was also revealed that Patty had never shown up for work at Quinney Electric that day and that no one had seen or heard from her. Perhaps coincidentally, Patty's estranged husband, construction worker Jerry Ray, or J.R. Vaughan, filed for divorce December 26, 1996. Yeah, that's not coincidental. They were separated, and they were getting a divorce, and it turns out she was actually seeing somebody else. And no, the other person is not the person. They were, that's the person she was leaving for. Also that day, Patty's blue 1991 Dodge Caravan was found abandoned on the shoulder of Loop 1604 South in Bexar County, approximately 5 miles from the workplace. The blood inside the van was consistent with blood that was later found through luminol testing in Patty's home. Luminol is often used by crime scene investigators to locate blood. Police reports indicate that JR alleges that Patty left the house on the evening of December 25th after the couple had been arguing. You mean about the divorce? Which is something that Patty's cousin, Barb Kinsey of Dallas, has never believed. She would never have left her children with JR for any extended period of time, Kinsey said. She definitely wouldn't have left them on Christmas Day. So where is this argument? So alleges the Patty left the house. So he went over to her house then, or yeah. According to Patty's aunt, Barbara Jean Kilabasa of St. Hedwig, who was also Kinsey's mother, the Vaughns had been separated for 3 months leading up to Patty's disappearance. But because Patty wanted the couple's 3 children, who were then ages 5, 7, and 9, to also have Christmas with her father, so she invited JR over for the day. Okay, so it was her house. He came over for the day. See, it's so obvious. Why would there be blood in the house if she left just kind of after a heated argument and then she got a flat tire and somebody abducted her? Why would her blood then be inside the van and the home? That's just so obvious. I think any reasonable-minded jury, but maybe a good attorney could say, well, how do you know when that blood was left in the house? Maybe she cut her finger a week earlier. Who the hell knows, right? But it's just bizarre to me. It's just like Cheryl Coker. So obvious. I think Cheryl Coker's husband would be found guilty if you just went to court with what they have, and he is the killer in that case. There is no doubt at all. None. Luminol is often used by crime scene investigators. Okay, according to Patty's aunt Barbara, already did that one. The best we can gather is something happened mid-afternoon on Christmas Day. None of us who lived in the area saw or spoke with Patty on Christmas Day, but around 1 p.m. Patty's younger sister, who was living in Georgia, called her and said Patty sounded upset, like she had been crying, but Patty told her sister that she might be catching a cold. Kiabasa said JR's side of the family was scheduled to come over for the evening, but when his sister arrived, she was told that Patty was in a bedroom and did not want to see anyone. Oh, now this sounds like Molete. Man, this is getting crazy. See how all these stories have similar stuff that goes on in them? Side of the family was scheduled to come over for the evening, but when his sister arrived, right, so that means JR's sister came over because they were also supposed to come over to her house to visit with the kids and everything. She was told that Patty was in the bedroom and did not want to see anyone. Man, that is exactly the Maya Molete story. And it's almost exactly the same story. Because in that case, remember how Maya was actually seeing somebody else? And she didn't want to be married to him anymore? This is crazy. Man, it's amazing. The relatives, friends, sheriff's deputies from Baxter and Wilson counties, and officers from Texas Rangers searching for Patty in several years following her disappearance spent countless hours and resources. Donations were collected and expended, but website devoted to the case. Yeah. According to Kinsey Jr., Jr., who successfully petitioned to have his wife declared legally dead, has moved at least 3 times with his children. Today, she says Jr. resides under a different name in Boise. He still lives in Idaho right now. And has remarried and divorced. So why would he change his name? You know? As for finding the truth about what happened to Patty, Chief Deputy Johnny Deegan of the Wilson County Sheriff's Office said the investigation has become a cold case because it has been quite some time since new leads have surfaced. Kinsey alleges that law enforcement officials have mishandled the case from the beginning because they failed to follow through on so many leads. There were no pictures taken after the luminol test, and no measurements were taken of the footprints inside the house, she said. I asked the investigators why, and he said it was because he ran out of film in his camera. Wow. Kielbasa said, I'm just picturing in my head they've got all this stuff documented. Then they had more than one neighbor tell them they heard heavy equipment running late at night on the night Patty disappeared. Both Kinsey and Kielbasa believe investigators need to start over from the beginning by searching the Vaughn's former property for Patty's remains. There was a new trash pit dug 4 months before she disappeared and covered over around the time of the disappearance. But investigators never checked them. Another possible location for Patty's body, Kielbasa said, is the site of an elementary school built in Pleasanton. The property, which was a work site for JR around the time of Patty's disappearance, was searched in June 2006. Patty deserves justice. The whole family deserves to know what really happened. But the children deserve most to know what really happened to their mother. Man, I wonder what the kids think right now about the father. I wonder if he's sold them a bill of goods over the years. Yeah, and this is an article on just the internet, KSAT. New DNA findings in 1996 are being reported by Bexar County Sheriff's Office, pointing to an unknown female in the victim's van. Unknown female. Yeah, but who knows? She could have had like 50 friends that she drove somewhere. Ramirez said Vaughn's ex-husband, J.R. Vaughan, remains a person of interest given he was the last one to see her alive, and the estranged couple had argued that evening at the Wilson County home. Vaughn's blue Dodge van was found 2 days later. So her van, I wasn't able to find her at the house that she was at for some reason. I got 2 different addresses that they both share, but I wasn't able to So she was last seen in this town, but none of their addresses match this town. And where the vehicle was found was right here in one of the other articles. It talks about 1604 and Spanish Grant Road is where her car was. So it's probably pulled over on the side of the road and somewhere around in here. Could have been on that side or this side. Don't know. Someone will have to explain why their DNA is in the vehicle. Well, I mean, she probably gave friends rides all the time. He said that is why he hopes to hear from somebody who saw something, someone who definitely knows that the people are involved. I think it just meant to say knows the people who were involved. Ramirez said they urged to call him directly at this is before they even had area codes for some reason. But I don't know, 2012 everybody had area codes, right?
Surprising new information in the Christmas Day disappearance of Patty Vaughn 16 years ago from her home in Wilson County. At one point, it was even thought her body had been encased in a concrete foundation. But now our Jesse DeGriato reports there's another person of interest, a woman yet to be named.
Very surprised. Didn't expect that at all.
What they found on undisclosed items inside Patty Vaughn's van, DNA from an unknown female, not related to the victim.
One who could have assisted with her disappearance and was in the van at one time.
Confirming what was believed early on, soon after Patty Vaughn was reported missing in 1996, that more than one person was needed to move and transport her yet-to-be-found body. The discovery was made here at the Bexar County Crime Lab using the latest advances in DNA science.
Now they have what they call mitochondrial DNA. They have all kinds of different scientific DNA analysis that have come to light, and it's really helping us.
So now, not only is Vaughn's ex-husband, JR, still a person of interest.
Someone will have to explain why their DNA is in that vehicle.
Ramirez says information points to who they think that female someone is, but to obtain their DNA as further evidence, they need probable cause.
Somebody who saw something, someone that definitely knows that the people are involved.
They are urged to call the cold case unit at 335-60.
That's weird. Maybe he had a girlfriend too, and he didn't want to have to, since she was going to try to get custody, he didn't want to have to pay child support, and neither did the girlfriend, and maybe that became like a future wife of his. And they didn't want to have to pay the child support. Like, she wouldn't be with him otherwise, and she hated her too, or something. You know, who knows? I mean, that's pretty strange. Monday's dig on the case, missing Patty Vaughn, comes up empty. So, don't really have to go over that one. So, that was 2014. There was a dig. And then there's another article from the Wilson County News again. Patty Vaughn investigation continues. April 2nd, 2014. Having some of my Diet Coke. Oh, the sister that said she showed up and said that he was in the bathroom? That's interesting. So the sister that showed up later and was told that she was in the bathroom. But why would she say that? That's kind of... Or she didn't want to come out of her room, not bathroom. So how would that help her brother, though? I guess it just means that she's basically admitting that she was aware that she was at the house. Like, what she's saying is, if the sister is involved, she's saying that the sister... that Patty was there. She just happened to be in a room. And so everything was fine at that time. But then maybe she showed up and helped, I guess. I don't know, man. This is nuts. You would think her disappearance leaving her young children behind. Yeah, it's just so obvious, this whole thing. You know, it's one of those ones that's absolutely obvious. Now, maybe there's more people involved. It sounds like maybe. I mean, if they're, for example, if the DNA, like right now, they could go do genetic genealogy on that very same DNA that was found in that car, and it'll actually give you a name of the person. And wouldn't it be weird if it was his sister, but couldn't she just claim something like, oh yeah, well, you know, we're friends, that's why she invited me over, we went somewhere a while ago. I guess it kind of just depends on what kind of DNA it was. Yeah, so the sister could just be making stuff up too. Let's see. Is this part of it? This must be when they're digging.
Officials with the 81st Judicial District Attorney's Office, based in Floresville, have convened a dig at the former residence of Patty Inez Brightwell Vaughan, who was last seen in 1996. They have called in heavy equipment to assist with a dig in the rear of her former residence.
This might help us find it. I got enough vehicles back there? Yeah, let me see if it talks about where this was. An all-day dig March 24th at the former residence of a woman missing since 1996 has not turned up any additional clues on her disappearance. However, the investigation into what might have become of Patty Inez Brightwell Vaughan is not over. Assistant District Attorney Audrey Lewis of the 81st Judicial District said that the District Attorney's Office financed the cost of the dig. This was after Vaughn's mother, Patsy Wallace, said in an August 2013 interview with the Wilson County News that officials never conducted a dig at the site. See, remember that article that we read? These guys heard that and then said, okay, we'll go. Despite neighbors reporting that Patty's husband, J.R. Vaughan, was operating a backhoe at the time of the pre-dawn hours of December 26, 1996. At this time, no remains have been found. Investigators from the Texas Rangers Sheriff's offices in Bexar and Wilson counties and the evidence recovery team from Federal Bureau of Investigation converged on the Vaughn's former resident. There it is, Oak Park Road. There it is. Finally. Oak Park Road. Atkins. Okay, so this is the town right there. I guess it had a different name, Vernia, but I think this is it. That's probably the only parts. So now we can just start right here and actually have a picture right here of the house. That's where they went to, apparently. I think that's the house, so I guess we could... Well, let's go back to that that video. There, maybe I'll make this smaller and then put the other image up to the side. I know, it's so similar to the Maya, isn't it? That way that worked. Crazy, huh? I think that might be it right here. I think this might be it. Oh no, the driveway doesn't match. God, it looks so similar on the side there. When you look at that right there, I mean, when you kind of see that tree there and that one, it's almost like boom, boom. But then there's a driveway that goes right down the middle, so that can't be it. This is November of this year, well, a month ago. Oh, that one has some... crap. It's weird how many similarities there are in there, but I don't know if that window is in there. I see. And the garage door at that time doesn't have the... I don't know. I think it's just similar looking, but not it. No, it doesn't look that similar to me. It could be it though. I mean, that's the thing, is it definitely... The problem is the windows are different and stuff. I mean, that does look very similar, but... Yeah, and I don't see that part right there. Yeah. For the Chris Watts update tonight, but this is way more interesting. Yeah, I was thinking about it, Cairo. You know, the 7,000th update on it, but let me see what the roof looks like really quick. Yeah, see, I don't think that's the same one. Because see, this has a overhang right there, and you would have seen that. That would have looked like this kind of coming off right there, and it doesn't have that. So maybe that's a good way to just go down and try to find it. See, that's what you would expect on that one right there. So that's probably not it, but see how it has that part that sticks out? And so that's what I'm looking for there. So we'll go up and see if we can see that again. It's not that one. So it might be on the other side of the road. Boom. That's it right there. Can I get a boom? Yeah, there it is. See that? Yeah, it's just like putting together a puzzle. And there it is right there. Yeah, 100%. Look at that. Bam. Everything. Alright, so now we can put down... I just saw that little part right there, and it was on the right hand side and a driveway going down the middle, and so that's why I looked at that one. Other than that, it wasn't, I didn't think it was that shape. I thought it was a longer, you know, but that was it. So Patty's house. That's why when you accidentally put a photograph up in a video, you do. Yeah, I might know exactly where you're at. You know, stuff like that. Yeah, that's kind of cool how that one worked, because it was from the air, finding the likely ones, and that was it. So, all right, let me get back to the video, and now I mean, let's just do the street view too. So that means it turned in, and looking down the road, that's about exactly what it looked like. There's even, see that little tree right there? That's even right there. A little bit taller though. And the shot's from a different angle. Probably from quite a bit further down. And more to the side, actually. Patty was reported missing after failing to drop off her then 5, 7, and 9-year-old children at the home of a family member in San Antonio. She did not report for work on Electric in her Dodge Caravan, which contained traces of Patty's blood that someone had tried to clean, was found. See, here's the thing. It's so freaking obvious that it is the husband, and the reason is because a killer, that an unknown killer, if she was out there with a flat tire and a killer abducted her and took her van, they're not going to clean it up and then put it back out on the street somewhere. That just doesn't work like that. This is somebody who tried to make it appear to be something other than it was. A real killer, you know, if it was an actual true random killer showing up, they wouldn't have been doing that part of it. You know, you wouldn't have taken it to a car wash and taken the blood out and that kind of, you know, trying to get the blood out. Let's see. JR reported that he and his 32-year-old wife had become involved in a heated argument. Jeez. Yeah, that's very similar to Mylette. Remember that? And that Patty had left. Her relatives long have disagreed, saying that Patty never would have left her 3 children. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Patty was last seen wearing dark-colored pants and a cream-colored blouse. She is described as a white female with blonde hair and green eyes, 5'5", 120 pounds. And this picture over there. I think that was the Patty Vaughn investigation continues. All right. Then we've got this one from 2018.
The holidays are another sad reminder for one local family that one of their own is not with them. Patty Vaughn disappeared 19 years ago. She's presumed dead. And while there have been many searches for Vaughn's remains over the years, family members tell the Night Team's Stephanie Cerna that they have new hope tonight.
Tuesday's news of the disappearance of 41-year-old Azara Smithhart made Jean Kiabasa burst into tears.
It was just too close to home, you know. It was just too close to the heart.
Jean's niece, Patty Vaughn, was last seen on Christmas Day, 1996. And to this,
what I'd like to know is if at the house, was it also a situation where the luminol uncovered previously blood that was attempted to be cleaned up, you know? Like, was it something where, oh, it looks like smear marks, you know, like the person tried to hide the fact that something happened at the house. And then it's just, I don't think there's a jury in the world that wouldn't go, you got in a heated argument. There's blood at the house that was attempted to be cleaned up. There's blood in the van that was attempted to be cleaned up, and her van was found somewhere else. And if you're saying that she left the house, that means the blood had to have been in the house prior to you leaving the house. It had to be sitting there already. Unless you could argue, well, it was from another time. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, it just seems to me like reasonable doubt would be met here. I mean, and I'm talking about there wouldn't be reasonable doubt that he didn't do it. You know, because it's not reasonable to go, wow, there's a big quantity of blood in the house, and then blood was cleaned up out of the van. You're the last person to see. You're getting in the middle of a divorce, and she's seeing somebody else. That part hasn't been brought up yet, though.
Day, Patty's body has not been found, and no arrests have been made. Family members have long believed Vaughn's husband, JR, is responsible for the crime.
Honestly, we live in the year 2015, and I cannot believe that my niece has been dead for 19 years, and nothing has been done. Nothing.
Jean says she and her sister, who is Patty's mom, and Patty's children have not.
Hey, you guys see that? We're now down to 70,305. Isn't that incredible? Like, we just went down 17 subs during the show today. I know. It does suck when you're actually doing something and it doesn't fit the narrative you've been told.
Not given up. They have new hope now that a book about Patty's life and the investigation is in the works.
Hopefully, with this book coming out, it's going to let people know that as Patty's still missing, we've not found her body yet. We're not giving up on finding her body. We never will until she's brought home.
Jean believes a lot of mistakes have been made in the case.
Our heart goes out to the family because I know they want answers.
Bexar County Sheriff Susan Parmelo says her department also hopes to get those answers.
I would just encourage the public, if they know anything at all, however small it may seem, it might be just that little bit of information that leads us in a direction that we can solve this.
And if you know something about the case, Bexar County Sheriff officials are encouraging you to call 335-TIPS. The Patty Vaughn book is expected to be released sometime next year. We're live from downtown. Stephanie Cerna, KSAT 12 News.
Isn't that awesome?
It is a South Texas mystery, a 22-year-old cold case and a grieving family. A beautiful young mother disappeared decades ago and is believed to be dead. Our Yami Virgen has followed this case for years and has an update on new evidence being investigated.
She didn't call anyone. She hasn't called her children. It's just not like her.
Right now, we're treating it as a missing person.
Some people thought that they had seen a van here, maybe a gravesite.
There's a lot of rumors out there and innuendos.
The lies, the hiding, the controlling.
Researchers, having found nothing, were giving up.
You're not satisfied?
No. Kidding, I won't be satisfied until Patty's found.
I never thought we'd be sitting here all this time later.
Christmas Day 1996 was the last time Patty Vaughn's family knows she traveled this road home alive.
All of the blood found in the house was identified through DNA as Patty's blood.
They have the evidence that Patty was killed there. They have the evidence that Patty, was placed in her van there and transported away from that home. So without a doubt, Patty was killed there. We just don't know what happened.
It's obvious.
Afterwards.
Her family and authorities have told Fox San Antonio for decades that all evidence points to her being killed.
I mean, here's the thing, everybody. The police have proved that she was killed in the house, and the blood evidence led to her being put in the van, dumped somewhere, the van cleaned, and then placed out on the highway. And the husband says that they got in an argument and she left. So that completely contradicts the reality of what happened. Okay, so what do you do? Right then, that's the answer to the case.
Here, in her own home on Christmas Day.
She's not alive.
22 years later, a new DA has her eye on what some consider a cold case.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating because it's hard to think of the family, particularly.
I want to know what
Patty's
they're
mother.
holding back on. It's obviously, she's even been declared legally dead. So they know that she was murdered. So what is that one little thing like, oh yeah, we just can't. Give it a shot, man. The worst possible scenario will be that it'll be a hung jury. I mean, that's the worst outcome you're going to get. And if that happens, you can retry them again later.
Having any closure, getting any justice for her daughter.
I hate when they don't do that
22 years
shit.
later, no one has come forward to give the family peace.
I just never thought that they would be able to outsmart all the efforts.
For 22 years, authorities have considered Patty's ex-husband, J.R. Vaughan, as a main suspect. Now, District Attorney Audrey Gossett Lewis says they have new evidence to follow.
It's not cold. We actually have had recent evidence develop that we're having examined and checked.
Do you have any hope that you guys will be able to figure out or bring someone into this courtroom, into court, for her death?
Absolutely. That is our goal, is that she can get justice and her family can get some closure and know what happened to Patty.
And to whom that evidence belongs to, and anyone who may have information, the district attorney has this warning.
We believe there are several people that have what would be very good information, and we really ask that they come forward. They can call my office, they can call the Texas Rangers, you can call anonymously, you can call Crime Stoppers. We want the information because you never know where it may lead.
A family member tells us that they will never give up in trying to find Patty and give her a proper burial. Yami Virgen, Fox News Midday.
That was December 2018 and December 2019. Christmas will never be the same for Jenny Liams, whose sister vanished on December 25th, 1996 from her Lavernia, Texas home. Patty Vaughn has not been seen or heard from in 23 years. Make sure I don't lose that. But her family has not given up hope that her body will be found and they can finally be at peace. We need to find Patty so we can lay her to rest. Patty's younger sister, Jeannie Liams, told Dateline. Our mother is not well. She's 76 and has cancer. At this point, we're assuming she's deceased, but her case is not cold. 2 months before Patty disappeared, the 32-year-old and her husband of 13 years, Jerry Ray Vaughan, decided to separate. See? They decided to separate. The couple lived in Lavernia, Texas, with their 3 children. who were 9, 7, and 6 at the time, JR moved into the apartment in San Antonio, while Patty stayed at the house with the children. So they both lived there together. Then they separated. He moved off to an apartment. After years of being a homemaker, she returned to the workforce as a secretary at Quinney Electric. She was the kind of mother who did everything for her children, Jeannie said. She made them clothes, she made curtains for the house, she did everything. Even for me, she was like a second mom. Jeannie, who was only 18 when her sister vanished, described them as having a mother-daughter type of bond, and she even lived with Patty and JR for a few years. We were close, very close, Jeannie told Dateline. This is NBC right here. And the links are all in the description. I can't believe it's been 2 decades since she's been gone. Jeannie described Patty as a good Christian woman who read her Bible every day and even started a band at church. She was so talented, she could play any instrument. Oh, and she could sing, Jeannie said. She really just was amazing and the most kind-hearted person you'd ever meet. Jeannie said he was the last person to speak with Patty when she called her on Christmas morning. We spoke on the phone earlier that morning, Jeannie said. She sounded like she'd been crying. She told me she and JR had gotten into an argument, and he made her cry, but that wasn't anything unusual. He made her cry every holiday. Jeannie said Patty had agreed to let JR spend Christmas at the house with the children before they went to Patty's cousin's house later in the evening. But Patty would never make it to her cousin's house that night. Family members attempted to visit during the day, but were told by JR, so he was in the house, and anybody that would show up, that Patty wasn't feeling well, and that she would not come out of her room. I mean, God, this is exactly the same story as Miya Marcano, okay? Jeannie said that this was not like her sister. Jeannie would have gone to, easily she would have came out of her room to visit any relatives or friends coming over to visit. She might have been in that room, though, at that time, just not alive. JR reportedly, you know what's weird is, what about the kids? I mean, one of them was 9 years old. Aren't they aware of, like, what was going on there? Did something happen? JR reportedly told authorities that they got into another heated argument and Patty drove off in her van around 6:30. Man, you'd think that one of the kids would have noticed something, right? Hey, Zozo, what's going on? The mystery of Patty Vaughn's family. This has actually made it into Daily Mail, believe it or not. Got some pictures in here. So that's JR right there. In one of his better photos. Let's put it that way. You'd think that one of these kids would have noticed something, be able to articulate it. But he might not have let them. Just like Miya Marcano. You know what I'm saying? It's so similar. Investigators have repeatedly said, most recently to Dateline, that JR has always been considered a suspect in the case, but that there is not enough evidence to bring charges against him. The tragic case unfolded against the backdrop of the Christmas season in 1996. Patty and JR had been married for 11 years with 3 young children, 2 boys and a girl. But in the fall of 1996, the couple had had a falling out, and he had moved out of the family home to an apartment in San Antonio. So maybe he was seeing somebody too, right? With her marriage on the rocks. Although if he was seeing somebody, see, that's where then the child support stuff comes into play. Like if they had no kids and he met somebody, he wouldn't have cared at all. So maybe he wasn't with somebody, or he was and he didn't want to have to pay the child support. Either one, I don't know. With her marriage on the rocks, stay-at-home mom, Patty returned to working as a secretary at Quinney Electric. She also reconnected with an old boyfriend, here we go, Gary, which is also one of my names out there, Gary, Greg, Craig, and Steve. I'm just kidding. After learning he had recently divorced, according to an investigative Discovery episode. So she had learned that he had gotten divorced and they reconnected. On Christmas Eve, Patty and Gary, so the night before, attended a dinner with their family, and she introduced him as her new boyfriend for the first time. By all reports, Patty's family welcomed Gary, and everyone got along in high spirits for the holiday. On Christmas Day, JR planned to come over to Patty's house and spend the day with the kids before she dropped them off with an aunt to go on a date with Gary. Oh boy. So, shit, I mean, the night before, see, this is it, man. That is the trigger that led to him killing her. You know, how dare you? You know, we're separated. And he goes over there and she's seeing somebody else. He'd even gone over to the house that he used to go to for dinner, and they all thought he was awesome. And then the next day, after JR was at the house, she probably said, well, I've got to go over. And he goes, what, to your new guy's house? And then just got in this big argument, and it just, you know. I mean, you can understand that shit, right? It's just a freaking nightmare. On Christmas Day, JR planned to come over to Patty's house and spend the day with the kids before she dropped them off with an aunt to go on a date with Gary that evening. Things did not go as planned, however. According to JR's statement to police, he and Patty got into an argument about the state of their marriage and whether it was appropriate for her to be dating Gary. Right. See, here's the thing. He couldn't, look at, JR couldn't control himself. See, in his statement, he even said, we got a big argument because look at her. She's dating a guy named Gary. I mean, normally he wouldn't even have brought that up, right? Like, he was so angry about it. He thought it would make her look bad and say that they got in an argument about this guy that she was dating somebody named Gary. Because his whole story was trying to make it look like she just left after an argument and got abducted from the side of the road after she got a flat tire. But he had to bring that part up in there. You know. When family members stopped by to see Patty, JR waved them off, telling them that she was in the bedroom and not feeling well. Patty's younger sister, Jeannie Liams, then 18 and living in Georgia, did speak with her on the phone that day to wish her a Merry Christmas. Liam said that JR picked up the phone and then handed it to Patty, who sounded distraught, as if she'd been crying. It would be the last time. God, what if he had a gun on her or something at that time, you know? According to JR's statement to investigators, the argument boiled over and Patty grabbed her keys and purse, driving off in her minivan. That never happened right there. Patty's keys and purse were never found, right? So he knew that. Yeah, see that right there? The keys and purse weren't in the van, and he said he remembered telling that part of the story, and then he hid that purse and the keys, but he didn't realize that doesn't really make any sense, you know? Yeah, so Patty's keys and purse were never found, but the minivan was. On December 26, one of Patty's co-workers at Quinney Electric spotted the van on the shoulder of Loop 1604 in South Bexar. The co-worker recognized the van as Patty's and noted it had a flat tire. Unable to reach her, the co-worker called JR to get a copy of the van's keys. The co-worker recognized the van. Unable to reach her, the co-worker called JR to get a copy of the van's keys. Okay. JR dropped off the keys on the way to file for a divorce from Patty. An ultimatum he told police that he hoped would force her to reconcile with him. No, she was about to divorce you, and you want to make it seem like now that you were the one that was moving on, and you were just so sick of the whole thing, and you're the one filing. So that he's trying to alibi his mentality with that one. He's trying to make it seem like he was the one, and he was just kind of trying to give her one last chance. And you know what? Now I'm just sick of it. I'm going to, so that's what he's trying to do, is alibying the motive. Patty's co-workers put a spare tire on the van and drove it to the office. Investigators later discovered that the flat tire was not punctured. See, there you go. So somebody just let the air out. I mean, how stupid is this guy? I mean, everything he did was stupid, but he still wasn't busted because the police mishandled it and appeared to have been intentionally deflated by letting the air out. There you go. Even more disturbingly, they found blood in the van. More traces of blood were found in the bedroom, the same bedroom that she was in, and right. I want to know what would have happened if one of the relatives had insisted that they get to go look in that room. Even more disturbingly, they found blood in the van. More traces of blood were found in the bedroom, bathroom, and closet. DNA testing later showed the blood was Patty's. So more blood was found in bedroom, bathroom, and closet. Yeah. That's just a lot of blood, a lot of places. Days of search. He's probably sitting around going, how in the hell did I get away with this? Days of searches in the area surrounding Patty's home and location where her van was abandoned proved fruitless. Police investigated Patty's boyfriend Gary, who said he had not seen her since Christmas Eve. Gary provided an alibi for Christmas Day and cooperated. But who cares if he had an alibi for Christmas Day? Who cares? No, what do you mean you hadn't seen her since Christmas Eve? You saw her, you said you were there on Christmas, right? That wasn't Christmas Eve. I think this is an error here. Remember, because JR was with her on Christmas Day, and then she was going to go on a date later. Christmas Eve, she was at a party with her parents' house with Gary. So I think that's an error in this, but not surprising, given its Daily Mail. In February 1997, 2 months after she disappeared, Patty's mother, Patsy Wallace, was charged with breaking into JR's home and beating him with a baseball bat. Wow. I missed that part. The charges were dropped 16 years later in 2013 when court officials realized the case had never been prosecuted. JR later moved out of the state, taking the 3 children with him, and reportedly changed his name. He could not be reached for comment. In the years since Patty disappeared, new tips have offered fresh hope of resolving the case, but none have panned out. Let me get off of this one. Yeah, that's ridiculous. In October 1996, Patty and JR separated. She was fed up with his abusive and controlling nature. See, this is the truth of the story right here. This is the same thing in the Maya Millette case, Cheryl Coker, Melissa Pesky. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. Controlling nature. He banned Patty from working as she often showed up to family events covered in bruises. JR moved into an apartment in nearby San Antonio, while Patty stayed in the family home with their children and found work as a secretary. In December, Patty reconnected with an old flame named Gary. She invited him to Christmas Eve dinner with her family, and while they were ecstatic Patty had found someone caring and kind, not everyone was happy for her. JR was particularly upset his soon-to-be ex-wife had moved on so quickly. When Patty's younger sister, Jeannie, called her the next day to wish her a Merry Christmas, according to the Daily Mail, Jeannie could hear JR in the background screaming. According to the Daily Mail, Jeannie could hear JR in the background screaming at her to get off the phone. Unbeknownst to Jeannie, she would never get another chance to hear her sister's voice. Patty was never seen or heard from again. We spoke on the phone earlier that morning. She sounded like she had been crying. She told me she and JR had gotten into an argument and he made her cry, but that wasn't anything unusual. He made her cry every holiday. Patty's family dropped by later that evening, but JR told them she was asleep in the master bedroom and wasn't feeling well. They reported her missing on December 26th after she failed to attend their annual Christmas Day gathering. JR told authorities Patty stormed off during an argument over her new boyfriend. See, there you go. He claimed she grabbed her purse and keys at 6:30 p.m. See, this is on Christmas Day. That article was wrong, see. He claimed she grabbed her purse and keys at 6:30 p.m. Notice how he made sure to mention that, and those two items are missing. Got into her light blue 91 Dodge Caravan and sped off, leaving her children, ages 6, 7, and 9. So you'd think this 9-year-old and 7, all of them are old enough to be able to speak. Something Patty loved, loved ones insisted she would never do, so she'd never leave her kids like that. That's the van right there. The Dodge Caravan abandoned on Loop 1604, just 15 miles from Patty's home, the very next day. According to NBC News, one tire had been intentionally deflated, and the carpet was still wet from having been shampooed. In the back seat was a red workman's jumpsuit. I wonder if they were able to find any. It's kind of early for surveillance, but maybe at the, car washes out there. He could have just rented one, though. Backseat was a red woman's jumpsuit with the letters JM embroidered on the back in white. Also found in the car was Patty's blood. Patty's blood was also found in the master bedroom, the bathroom inside a closet, and a mop. Oh, gee. It was found on a mop? Oh, come on, you guys. A large-scale search was initiated, but she was nowhere to be found. That's right. Yeah. So JR left the house, and then, she cut herself really badly, and it was bleeding so much she needed a mop to clean it up. Then she got in her car, drove down the highway, and went, oh my gosh, look at all the blood in the car. Let me go ahead and wash this up at a car wash really quick with some shampoo. And then she drove it down the highway, and oh my God, something happened where a pebble got stuck in the little air valve and look it. It's so obvious. I don't mean to be one of those. See, this is one of those ones where you go, Occam's razor only points in this direction at every single thing that you look at. It's obvious, It's not one of those ones that where you go, well, the odds of being wrong are 1 in a million that it's not him or something to do with him. All right, so in 2005, JR had Patty declared legally dead. In 2012, improved DNA testing discovered the presence of an unknown female in Patty's vehicle. According to KSAT News, authorities are confident they know who the DNA belongs to, so maybe the sister. Patty's boyfriend, Gary, fully cooperated with the... what would his motive be? He was ruled out as a suspect after you go to... He's not a suspect, and he has no chance of being a suspect. He went to Christmas Eve dinner with his new girlfriend. They're, just starting off, feeling great. You think the next day he's so angry that somehow she's driving down the freeway, sees her car with a flat tire, and then he abducts her, and, give me a break. We didn't really know him, Gary. We really only got to know him while we were searching for Patty. He was out there searching with the rest of us, except JR. He never came out to help look. See, there you go. See, these kinds of things... Oh, yeah, let's not forget the other kid. What was the one in Colorado? It's a pretty big one that we did. Frazee. Yeah, see, that's another one. Just crazy stuff. On Christmas Eve, Patty told her mother, Barbara, she was going to file a restraining order against JR. So that was on Christmas Eve. Patty told her mother she was going to file a restraining order, and yet she let him come over the next day. What the hell is that? Barbara is confident her daughter is hidden under concrete. And now we got the this is the, now that's the case out of I mentioned it earlier, another one out of Colorado. The Morphew, Barry Morphew, construction underneath concrete. Man, this is like the combination of like 9 of the cases that we've covered. Cheryl Coker, Maya Malete, Morphew. It just goes on and on and on. Think how big this case would be today. Oh man, all these mega sleuths would be out there. 24-hour coverage. According to NBC News, multiple searches were conducted at the schools, but no evidence was recovered. At the time of Patty's disappearance, JR was working on the construction of 2 elementary schools. This Christmas will mark 25 years since Patty's disappearance. If you have any information, call 210-335-TIPS. Okay. Got that. And then we're going to move to... Yeah, these are all like right around now. I mean, this is on December 25th, 2021. I'm just going to go to the last one. Yeah, there we go. So here we go, and let's just watch this.
Anniversary no one wants to celebrate. A sad reminder, on Christmas no less, that one of their own is missing. Our Yummy Virgen lends a voice to a woman who was silenced 25 years ago on Christmas Day. Patty Vaughn is tonight's cold case.
It's a San Antonio mystery, one I have personally covered as a journalist since it first happened Christmas
this is,
of
News 4
1996.
San Antonio.
At first, I couldn't even believe it was 25 minutes.
That's her friend.
And then it was 25 days.
Her
and
cousin.
Now it's 25 years. I mean, it's just crazy.
Barb Kinsey's cousin, Patty Vaughn, was at the prime of her life.
Patty was the sweetest person I've ever met. She never had an enemy. She was very kind and soft-spoken. She had an incredible faith. She was very involved in her church with her children. She was artistic. She could sing. She was absolutely beautiful. And she didn't know it. She radiated from the inside out, and she was just this unassuming, sweet, adorable, lovely individual. Everyone who met her loved her, and never met an enemy, except the one she was married to.
Looking forward to a new life with a new love and in the middle of a messy divorce. Plans were made with her cousins, who were more like sisters, to see each other on Christmas Day.
We were all actually together, Kathy, Patty, and I, the night with our children, the night before she disappeared. Patty's ex-husband, the man she was separated from at the time, called my sister and said that Patty was missing at 7:14 in the evening.
The next day, Patty did not show up for work, and her employer actually discovered her light blue 1991 Dodge van, like the one you see here, abandoned on the side of the road with a flat tire near Loop 1604 in Spanish Grant.
All right, so that's how I got that spot where the vehicle was. So that's the house. This is where she disappeared from. And then, oh yeah, I have a different color, so it really kind of makes sense, right? You drive right there and then around the loop, so I guarantee it's on this side. And so there is, let me put it over here, makes more sense, like something right over here. So this is 1604, and right there is Spanish Grant Road. So I think it's going to be right here. And if it's facing this way, then that means her body probably is somewhere over here somewhere. And it was cleaned, and then on the way back, it was the van was deposited. So depending on which way the van's facing is where I would say her body was, in the opposite direction. Because there would be no, I guess you could say, you took the exit, turned around, then came back, who knows, but I just look at it like that. If the van's facing this way, then the body's probably over here somewhere, and shampoo was used after the transportation, probably at some random gas station, you know, like a car wash somewhere. Probably not a lot of surveillance back in 1995 or 6 back then. Look how obvious, look how simple this is. Boom, she's killed. Then you come out the road, take a left, and then you get right on this, look at that, goes right on to 1604. Then you just follow that 1604 all the way around, and eventually right here. This is where she's found, but probably that's how he got back home. And you know, body might be, hell, it could be even over here in the river somewhere, or, yeah. Don't know. It's so random. You know, there's no cell data back then, nothing.
Patty Vaughn has never been found, but recently remains
They did check
discovered
the
are
elementary
being
school.
tested to see if they could be hers.
If it's not Patty, hopefully maybe it'll bring it home.
Even though her body has never been found, her then estranged husband, J.R.
It's a
Vaughan,
Diet Coke,
had her declared dead. But her disappearance and murder continue to be a San Antonio mystery.
And as we go about trying to solve very complex cases like
What's
the
a
disappearance of Patty Vaughn, although there's speculation in a case, it's very hard to prove up a case without some serious evidence. And so we're asking anybody with any information that may lead us to evidence of what may have happened to Patty Vaughn to please give us a call, 210-335-6000.
25 years later, her family will continue to follow tips and hold out hope in the possibility of finding Vaughn's remains, a murder mystery that Kinsey says won't allow those who killed Patty or helped hide the crime and her remains to rest until justice is served. Justice, they hope, will allow her children to have contact with them once again.
We lost her children, or contact with her children and with her. Of course, we lost Patty, but we also lost those kids, which was devastating to our kids and to us because we love them dearly.
Lending a voice for the voiceless, Yami Virgen, News 4 San Antonio.
Now you're
crazy, man, crazy. So anyways, that's basically it. What else we got here? Now here's the Charlie Project has something. I guess we could just go through that. Patty and her husband, Jerry Ray J.R. Vaughan, began a trial separation in October 1996. Photos of J.R. are posted with the case summary. He moved on to into an apartment in San Antonio, Texas, and Patty remained at their residence on Oak Park Road in Lavernia, Texas, with their 3 children. The couple had been married since 1985. Patty was dating a former boyfriend in December 1996. Her husband found out about the relationship on December 13th. He and Patty had got into an argument about it at her home on December 25th, 1996. Patty disappeared from her home that day between 6 and 8 p.m. and has not been seen again. J.R. told authorities that Patty left the house alone on December 25th and simply vanished. See, he's putting himself there when she left, but we know she didn't leave without bleeding all over the place. He filed for divorce from his wife on December 26th, just one day after Patty was last seen. Other family members reported her as a missing person to authorities. Patty's light blue 1991 Dodge Caravan with Texas license plates was discovered abandoned with a flat tire on December 26th, one day after she was last seen. The vehicle was located on Loop 1604 in South Bexar County, approximately 5 miles from Patty's employer, Quinney Electric, and 15 miles from her home. Tests revealed that the tire had been intentionally deflated. A photo of the van is posted with this case summary. A pile of men's clothing was inside it. One of the clothing items was a red workman's jumpsuit, something an auto mechanic or plumber might wear. The jumpsuit had an emblem with the letters JM in white or black. A photo of it is posted with the case summary. Why would there be a... I wonder what the point is. Why that was left in there, or whose that is. Investigators searched Patty's residence and the van and discovered blood inside the van, on the walls and floor of Patty's bedroom. Wow. In bedroom closet, in the master bath. So I bet you the blood in the closet was probably like she was moved to the closet just in case somebody wanted to look in the room or something. I don't know, but... Or maybe just tracking blood around. On the walls and floor of Patty's bedroom, in bedroom closet, in the master bath, and on a mop inside the house. Someone had attempted to clean the blood from the house prior to discovery. There you go. And the van's carpet had been shampooed recently and was still wet. DNA testing proved that the blood was Patty's. Authorities also found DNA from an unknown female, not Patty's, inside her van. Patty's mother, Patsy Wallace, was charged with burglarizing JR's residence and assaulting him with a baseball bat in February of 1997, 2 months after her daughter disappeared. She said she thought he was involved in her daughter's disappearance. The case was never brought to trial, and the charges were eventually dropped. JR now resides in Colorado. Well, at least she got to pummel him with a baseball bat. He maintains his innocence in the case and stated he believes she had left him deliberately. A few months after Patty's disappearance, investigators looking for evidence in her case examined the foundation of Natalia, Texas school JR had helped build. They searched behind the school gymnasium in June 2006. JR had Patty declared legally dead in 2005 and attempted to collect her life insurance. There you go. That's what I was wondering. God. Shortly afterward, Wallace filed a civil wrongful death suit against him. A judge ruled that the life insurance payout would be held in trust for the couple's children. There you go. In December 2008, investigators announced they may be close to solving Patty's case. They stated 3 friends of the Vaughns are now the focus of the investigation. JR is still the primary suspect in Patty's disappearance, but police believe the 3 family friends have helped dispose of her body. None of these individuals have been publicly identified, however, and no arrests were made at the time or since then. Wow, well, good job, Charlie Project. You got a little bit more information than these articles. Patty and her family have previously lived in the following areas: Portland, Maine, Athens, Georgia, and Stafford, Virginia. She enjoys singing and was active in her church choir in 1996. Her family held memorial service for her on the 10th anniversary of her disappearance. Foul play is suspected in Patty's disappearance due to the circumstances involved. She has never been located. Well, that's because she's dead and she's been probably buried somewhere. I mean, there's 0 chance she's still alive. You know, so anyways, there you go, everybody. That's tonight's show. All right, so thank you all for being here tonight and going through. I hope you guys all thought that was really cool early on. Should we play the freak part again? For those that might have missed it, where is that? Is it right here?
I tried to.
Where did y'all meet?
We got to do that's the highlight.
You did good. There's a fellow named Grant Hughes that I haven't really learned enough about myself.
So here we go.
But that Grant Hughes funding of this project really is what put the grease under the wheels to make it move forward. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Would you tell us a little bit about Grant Hughes?
So Grant Hughes has a YouTube channel called Grant Hughes Investigates.
Misty, Gillis.
And he runs a show based on true crime, essentially. Anything that's in the mass media, unsolved cold cases, anything of that nature. He's got a very big following that they're called the Freaks. That's what they call themselves.
The Freaks!
And during his YouTube show, they contribute money to his funds, and he actually donates money to quite a few different organizations. To us personally, Identifinders International, I believe he's donated over 10 grand of this.
It's over 22,000.
At this point. And so when I had found interest in this case and I came across it online and I suggested it to my boss, we knew there were going to be funding issues with getting it done. So we called Ray and we told him about the Bibb County John Doe, and he immediately was enamored with it, and he offered to pay for the entire thing, and he graciously paid for all the DNA testing, all the genealogy work, and absolutely everything from start to finish for this case.
Well, there are, he probably won't
Yeah, I'm not going to agree with him here. But
agree with this, but sometimes you run across angels unaware, don't you?
I'm not an angel.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
to Gray Hughes, we owe a debt of gratitude
Yes, we do.
for the work that all those freaks do.
Yes,
Bam, everybody.
exactly right.
The freaks. Look at that. All the work those freaks do. Here we go.
Yes, we do.
For the work that all those freaks do.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Well, that's awesome. Well,
See, that's so cool, isn't it? Oh, man. So thanks, Misty Gillis, for, talking us up. Really appreciate that. Grangel. No way, man. No way. But, yeah, very cool. I'm so glad. I just wanted to mention the freaks. And finally, the freaks get the shout out twice. We call these children the freaks. Oh, that's pretty funny. But anyways, thank you to Steph May, who actually was on here, and she sent in a super chat. That was a cat eye donation. And then congrats, Mom, is she 13 for being here for 4 months. Tracy, or a member for 4 months. Tracy, thank you very much. No Place Like Home, Mama Sheet 13 super chat, and Mrs. Ryan, cat eye donation. Jenny Jennifer, Summer Casey, Angela Vincent, Alice Patak, Karen Shank Chapman, Andrea Ruggiero Drum, Romero's Heart, and then Jamsey became a channel member. And then Andrea Ruggiero Drum again, thank you. Alice Patak became a new member. Kathy Freidenmaker, Andrea Ruggiero Drum again. I'm just going to start calling her ARD. ARD. Stir Rancelot, Perry Mom, Lily, Perry Mom again, Cairo, Living It, as in living the dream, Zozo, Mama She 13, and Cindy Leon. And there we go. I guess those just happened just now. Thank you very much. Anyways, I'm really proud of the channel. I'm proud of all you guys for helping out and making it happen. I mean, I do the shows that allow, that give you a reason to help make it happen, right? But it's all because of your generosity that make it happen. And, we got bigger things to come this year. Well, I don't know, it's hard to have something bigger, but other big things to come this year, right? So it's gonna be awesome this next year coming up. So starts in 2 days, the new year. We got one more day, the 30th, and then the 31st we have our final night of the year, the donation night. And that's all, every bit of that's going to be going to the Identifinders pool to fully cover the Addison County one. I think I'll probably have to send another $1,000 in the next month, but that month we'll start sending money back into Texas EquiSearch and, NCMEC, the other great organizations, right? So, boom! Thank you guys very much. You guys are awesome. All right. So that's it, everybody. We will see you guys tomorrow. And, tomorrow's just another show. But wasn't that an interesting one? That was crazy. I mean, now it's just like, so many similarities to so many other cases. And it's just a massive problem. Those are the ones that make it to the final stage where somebody gets killed. And there's so many of those. There's just way too many. And some of those stories were being told, that we did the call-in show, and we have 3 videos out of their stories. Those are all things that lead up to the same thing. They just got out soon enough. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. We will see you guys tomorrow. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. And a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Yeah, I've been doing this.
Hey, Grace, thanks for the good show.
Yeah,
and
during this whole
thanks,
time,
Mary Lou.
I have not seen one person that is a
Crime dissector.
Flag rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Green is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pop protector. Fool deflector,
Interceptor.
and I mean a
Venom spectre with a vector.
His spectre, with all respect, y'all. Just remember I've a temple fucking check.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What happened? Well, I'm going to start over again. There we go. Hey, double time it, everybody.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen
What
one
happened,
person
Ray?
that
Well,
is
I
a
hit the wrong button
crime
and it's going to play the
dissector,
rap again.
Flag rejector.
Oh, cool. I like it.
Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar.
Professor Green is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a
protector.
fool deflector, interceptor, and I mean a venom spectre with a vector.
On his pector, with all respect, y'all. Just remember I've a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you.
Hey, what happened? That's the wrong song, Gray. Where's the one we want to listen to, Gray?
I don't know. It was in the wrong folder. Hold on a second.
Oh, there it is, Gray. Thanks.
I know. I was going to go get it, Mary Lou.
Gosh, Gray, you don't have to be so mean, gee.
Oh, boy. Here we go, everybody.
Crime dissector, flag rejector, I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Green is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a protector, fool reflector, interceptor, and I mean a venom spectre with a vector on his vector with a vector.
Hey, pretty good, Mary Lou. That means you have it memorized.
I sure do, Gray. I sure do. One around about me and a crew about something we did or supposed to do. Might not have heard or maybe you have, but when I first heard it all of it was slack. Used to get angry and all uptight, but you can see what your mom does spell my name right. All I'm ever guilty of was rocking the house. That's all the room was all about. Just be at the end, tell all your friends, and if you don't wait till you see me again, this way I can hear from the horse's mouth. Right then and there, we can straighten that out. As a back with his brand new invention, someday grab a holy tightly, holds like a harpoon, lately and lively, will never stop, yo. Oh no, turn off the light, and I'll glow to the extreme, around the mic like a vandal, light up the stage, make it jump like a candle dance. From the speakers that boom, killing your brain like a poisonous mushroom, deadly. When I play a dope melody, anything less than the best in the felony, love it, read it, better game way, better hit those how the kids don't play. If there was a problem, yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook for my Peter closet. Now that the party is jumping, with the bass kicked in and the Vegas up pumping quick to the boy, no faking, cooking them cheese like a pound of bacon, burning them, get quick and nimble, go crazy when they hear the cymbal with a hi-hat, with a souped up tempo, my roll, gonna go solo, rolling, in my 5.0 with my rack top down so my hair can blow, Gillis on standby, waiting to stay high, it's a top, no, just drove on, kept on, crossing with the next stop, about the left, I'm headed to the next block, Michael Dyatlov, took it to the 2A1A, Detroit Avenue, girls were hot, wearing less in bikinis, rock and lovers, drumming on the guineas, jealous, cause I'm out at my shade with a gauge and vanilla was a nine. Gunshot. Hey, what happened to you, Timmy? Why'd you do that to me, Timmy? Cause I wanted to rap too. From the baddest rapper that ever could be. Now I'm feeling the highs and I'm feeling the lows. The beat starts getting into my toes. I start popping your fingers and stamping your feet. Hey, what song was that one? It was Rapper's Delight, but you interrupted me. I was right in the middle of it. Feeling the high, feeling the low. Beat starts getting into your toes. You start popping your fingers and stomping your feet. Moving your body and you then I said damn. Stop doing the freak, I said damn. Right out of your seat, then throw your hands high in the air. Rockin' to the beat without a can. Rockin' to the beat without a can. But the show is out MC's for the affair. Now I'm not as tall as the rest of the gang. Rap to the beat, just the same. Got a little face and a pair of my eyes. I'm not credit to the ladies, is hypnotized. On and on and on and on. The beat don't stop until the break of dawn. I said on and on and on and on. Like a hoppity poppy poppy pop, bitty bitty poppy pop pop. Don't ever stop, I come alive, yo. Give me what you got, cause I'm guaranteed to make you stop. What do you mean, how'd they move the car? What the hell are you talking about, Zozo? Well, they probably had two people there, with two different cars. One of them drove the Dardine's car, and the other one drove the other car. Doesn't that make sense? Gee.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about that last night. I'm surprised you didn't hear that part.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. Oh my god, you guys are...
Yes, don't you remember? The dad's body was found way down next to the college. The car was found down south in another town, so obviously there was another vehicle that was driven by somebody else. One thing that somebody messaged me that lives there, they said they did find his private part. It was actually in his mouth. I don't know if that's in a story somewhere, but that kind of makes sense, and that's why they're not looking for it.
Poor Zozo. Gosh, Gray, you're always so mean.
What do you mean? It was in the show last night.
Feel the highs, feel the lows, beat the feeling, do your toe, you love my meaning, you don't bother my feet.
Yeah, I would say in the Dardine case, in that case, it's somebody who, I bet, this is what my scenario is, and I think it makes sense. In the Dardine case that we talked about last night, the husband was having an affair with somebody, and it ruined the marriage and life of somebody else. Then that person wanted to ruin his life too, and humiliated him and killed his entire family, and probably had somebody else helping him at the same time, because remember, two of them were tied up and whatnot. So I think he wanted to humiliate him, cut it. You know, I think he was killed in the house, and then his body was transported, dumped. Then his vehicle was then dropped off in the town. Now, but the reason I think there's another vehicle is how did the killer get to the house? Just walked on foot and then drove 10 miles south or something like that. So anyways, that's what I think happened in that case. I think it's a revenge killing, and that information probably just isn't known. But that's the only thing that makes sense. That's the only reason somebody would do that. You know, a mob isn't going to go out and kill these little kids and stuff. This guy wanted to destroy his whole family and then destroy the body part that led to destroying his perceived family. You get what I'm saying? Anyways, that's it, everybody. Thank you very much. We will see you guys tomorrow. And as I always say, everybody, be safe out there.
Well, that's weird, Gray. That's a weird theory, but it makes sense. It really does.
How do you know? You weren't even paying attention.
Well, I'm just assuming it made sense.
Ah, jeez. Don't tell me then, okay? All right, we'll see you guys later, and be safe out there.